I just feel like all I'm doing is taking things off, getting halfway and not finishing the job. Hello and welcome back to I Like Motorbikes. If you're new here, my name is Tom and today you join me back in the garage working on the CB500 race bike build. Now if you didn't watch the first video, long story short, I had a cheap road bike that I wasn't really using for anything, used it for a couple of track days, really liked it, thought let's go racing, but can I convert it on an absolute shoestring budget? Today what I'm aiming to do is get the front fairing off, drain the coolant out, ready to fit some new hoses. I also have the new, well not new, but new to me anyway, exhaust headers because these ones are blowing, so the exhaust headers have got to come off, replace those. I also have a fuel tank cap that I want to fit, nice and easy job. Doesn't really mean anything, but it'll be nice. Stay with us, this will all be happening in just a second. Right, so like I say, first job I want to do is drain the coolant because this can happen whilst I then get on with other jobs. I think this is the lowest point. I probably should have checked that, but anyway, it's all the pipes got to come off somehow. I hope I don't make too much of a mess. Right, the coolant is mostly drained, so get this rear fairing off. It's just been placed on at the moment, so I can look at cutting those tabs off. I've gone round and marked all the areas that I need to cut off, courtesy of Josh Leaning, I think, who's one of the CB500 racers. He did a little video showing what can be cut off and what can't, so thanks very much, Josh, it's really helpful. Less talking, more working. What do we got? Now I am cheating slightly because I've been round already and taken out all the bolts etc. for this, but I don't know. Oh, a bit easier than I thought. Huh. Well, something's still attached. What is that? Not important is mostly what that is. Oh, why is it still attached? Anyone want a CB500 fairing? Going cheap? Numero dos. Didn't know I spoke French, did you? And I'm going to be interested actually, I might try and weigh all the bits that I've taken off versus the bits that I've put on and see roughly how much weight it's lost on its race bike diet. Well, if you're interested that is. I tell you what, why don't you, in the comments below, guess how much this bike will have lost in weight. I think they're somewhere about 170 kilos, I may be wrong at that. But yeah, have a little guess, what do you think? Right. Last bit of the puzzle is a mount down here. Oh, one incredibly scabby set of downpipes. Thought I'd show you a close-up of the state of the downpipes. Right, next I want to take the tank off because I think there's some hoses under there that go over the top of the radiator thermostat and all that sort of stuff that I want to change. So to get that off, then I'll take the rest of the radiator hoses off and maybe the radiator itself and see how bad it looks under there because it's not looking pretty. And then we're a bit closer to cracking on for the day, though I am very nervous because everything's gone all too well so far. Aha. Should have turned the fuel tap to off first, I think, but there we are. Good success! Why did I leave it full of bloody fuel. Does anyone else do that? When you end up taking a tank off, it's always when it's mostly full of fuel. That did not go so well. Don't cover your camera in coolant. Oh dear. After removing the radiator, I tried as best as I could to remove as much dirt and grime using a stiff nylon bristle brush to avoid damaging any more radiator fins. Being on a strict budget, a replacement radiator was out of the window, so the wire brush came out to remove any corrosion. While trying to remove the radiator fan bolts, I snapped all 3 lugs on the radiator. Thankfully, the fan was going to be ditched anyway, so a quick tidy up with a hacksaw and a file, it was ready for repainting. Next job is to cut off some of these brackets. Sorry if you can hear the wind, by the way, but not a lot I can do about that. Yeah, next job is to cut all these little bits and bobs of brackets off the frame. I've marked out what I need to do, so always wear protection, and a grinder, and a tack. Now that the bike had new coolant hoses, I had to make sure the radiator didn't look out of place. I reconditioned it by covering in high temperature paint and good intentions. The next job was lock wiring the oil filter whilst access was still easy before the radiator would be reinstalled. Now it's the first time I've lock wired in quite a few years and it's not perfect. You can probably just see there, around about there. Didn't quite get enough twists or pigtails in the wire before reaching the filter. I'm not perfect, I'm still learning, so better to try it and make a little bit of a mistake and learn something than think you know it all. So there we go, tried, didn't quite work so well, so I'll probably have to redo that, but hey, we're learning and it's progress. First off, gonna get the radiator mounted back on. Get the bottom hose on. Oh, go on. I just feel like all I'm doing is taking things off, getting halfway and not finishing the job. Seems as though the threads are stripped on this top mount, so probably gonna have to use a longer bolt and fit a nut or something. And the solution was born. A little bit too long, so cut it down and then fit it. Radiator's pretty solid now. Happy. Next job. On the floor you can see the old copper gaskets that had to be prized from the cylinder head. I've replaced them with new gaskets, though as the keen-eyed amongst you will see, I slightly damaged them on installation. Then, I propped the replacement exhaust up with pieces of wood to make sure everything lined up before tightening the manifold bolts. Sadly, that's all we've got time to fit into this video. As you can see, the bike is a little bit different to how you've just seen it. So the forks are out, I've got a ton more to do, we've changed the bars over, there is absolutely loads going on. I've still got to get ready, or this bike ready, for the ACU license, which is coming up very soon, and also the first round of the season is approaching really quickly. So we'll leave it there. In the next video, you'll see what happens with the forks and how we get on with building the rest of the bike, and hopefully that'll be the last episode of this series, or the mini series. I really hope you've liked this video. If you have and you want to see me riding the CB500 and you haven't before, then you can watch this video up here. Or if you like the channel and you want to subscribe and see more, then click the link over here. All I've got time to say is thank you very much for watching and ride safe. I'm going to crack on with this bike. Catch you later.